Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We are going to be talking about Caramel Sundays Toasted Pumpkin Crunch. Now, this vessel that I am reviewing today, I purchased in the June restock, and this is in their 4-wick, 40-ounce vessel. This fragrance will not be available in this format for the August 10th restock. However, it will be returning in their 2-wick vessel that is, I believe, about 18 ounces of 100% soy wax. Caramel Sundays is a small business based out of Georgia. They definitely specialize in soy wax candles, a lot of gourmands. They don't use dyes, phthalates, parabens, VOCs, any of the things that we would be concerned about. And this vessel that I purchased, these 4 wicks retail for $64.99. The 2-wick vessel that this fragrance will be available in retails for $31.99. That price does include the cost of shipping. So I will share at the end of this video how you can get your hands on this fragrance if it does appeal to you. But let's go ahead and talk about this one. First and foremost, I do just have to say that I love the change up that, or they went back to doing like these type of labels for their 4-wick vessels. I like this label a little bit more than the kind of like cursive label that they put on their 2 wicks. I don't know. I just kind of like it. So really happy that they went with that. Let's go ahead and talk about the fragrance notes on Toasted Pumpkin Crunch. They are top notes of clove, cinnamon, nutmeg. Mid notes, pumpkin, sugar, buttercream. Base note of smoke and vanilla. Okay, so what is my nose detecting here? First and foremost, you guys, this candle was actually my #1 priority to purchase in the June restock. Is it still my favorite fragrance out of the entire haul? Actually, it's not. I would say probably Coffin Cake I like a little bit more than this. I really love the Always Autumn. That one smells very, very similar to Bath and Body Works fragrance Autumn. But this one, you guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the fragrance, but I don't think that I am as in love with it as I had anticipated. This fragrance, first and foremost, is a very spicy fragrance. It's different. It's a different spiciness than Coffin Cake, and I'm going to talk about that here. This very much, to me, smells. I don't really get like the picture that they have for the marketing of this candle has like a muffin. It looks like a muffin, like a pumpkin muffin with like some, what I call it, like a streusel topping. Maybe not streusel. Is it streusel? Like that kind of like crumbly type of topping that would give you like some crunch on a muffin. I don't really think that there's any icing on there, maybe a little bit. But this fragrance to me definitely reminds me of, I think that the name Toasted Pumpkin Crunch is accurate, and that this does remind me of like the crunchy topping that you would get on a muffin. But if you're hoping for more of like a bakery accord to accompany that crunch, I don't think that you're going to find it in this candle. At least that's not what my nose is picking up. This to me is definitely, I get the spices, those top notes of, clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, definitely very heavy on all 3 of those notes there. In terms of like a buttercream or the pumpkin note is noticeable, but this is not like a creamy pumpkin note. The pumpkin is definitely more of a background note to those top notes of spice. However, I will say that when this candle is burning a little bit longer, it is interesting that they have that base note of smoke listed in here, because there is an element to this candle that there is a slightly smoky element to this candle. And I will say that it's interesting that it's listed as a base note, because I do detect that fragrance the longer that I burn this candle. Honestly, you guys, I could see this fragrance being hit or miss for a lot of people, because that smoky element does come across. If I burn this candle a little bit too long, it does start to come across to my nose slightly scorched. Not like a lactonic scorched, which is usually like, I usually can't handle that. It doesn't smell like that so much, but there is an element that it almost starts to remind me a little bit of kind of like that scorched note that you would get with wildfire. But also it's like a spicy wildfire. I guess that's the way that I could describe it. I'm not describing this well because it is a nice fragrance, but I just don't think that it is what I personally was expecting it to be. Now, that being said, I do think that this fragrance pairs really nicely with their Dad's Pumpkin Pie, which I did a review on last week for you guys. Dad's Pumpkin Pie, I mentioned, is a very, very savory fragrance. Very minimal spice in that scent. And I feel like this one pairs nicely with the Dad's Pumpkin Pie. I think that if you're wanting more spice element to the Dad's Pumpkin Pie, then the Toasted Pumpkin Crunch would complement that. But this to me doesn't really have any kind of like savory aspects to it, or even really any kind of more bakery aspects. It's just very much a good, spicy, little bit of pumpkin in the background, but that smoke element does start to come out the more that I burn this. And I will also say, I'm going to talk about this in the performance in just a few minutes. There might be another reason why it's starting to smell a little bit smoky to me. Overall, you guys, if you are looking for a spice fragrance that has a little bit more of a gourmand element or a little bit more of like a cake aspect to it, I would steer you in the direction of Coffin Cake, which is actually going to be available in this 4-wick format in the August 10th restock. I find that the Coffin Cake candle is just a little bit more versatile for my personal taste. This one is just, I feel kind of like middle of the road about this fragrance. I thought that this was going to be like, totally up my alley. And while I do enjoy it, I don't see myself repurchasing this fragrance. Now let's go ahead and talk about the performance, because I think that there's another element here that might be contributing to maybe one of the reasons why I'm maybe not enjoying this candle as much as I thought I would. So you can see right here, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up for you guys. You can see these wicks on this candle, they're burning. But I'm going to go ahead and insert some B-roll here of another 4-wick candle that I'm currently burning, which, by the way, I hope they bring this fragrance back. It is the Pecan Marshmallow candle that came out a couple of months ago. Look at the B-roll here. If you see the flames on that candle, do you notice that they're burning a little bit hotter? The wax pool also doesn't seem to be as dark. Now, that could just be simply because of the fragrance oils, a difference in fragrance oils, and they are completely different fragrances. But what I want to say here is that I feel like this fragrance, while these are not technically drowning or puny wicks, I have noticed that these wicks are not burning as hot as the pecan marshmallow, nor some of the other caramel sundaes 4-wicks that I've had before. This is the first 4-wick that I can recall that I'm having wicks like this, where they're a little bit more, I would say, I want to say like medium burning type of wicks, if that makes sense. They're not puny. I'm not having to dump wax, but I just noticed that this burn is not as hot. Now, I wonder if that is by design because of the smoke note, but also I find that when a candle doesn't burn as hot, then sometimes what ends up happening is that I'm trying to describe this well. I find that the wax starts to smell, this wax isn't smelling sooty, but the wax does start to smell a little bit more scorched to me. And I'm trying to figure out if that scorch note that I'm getting the longer that I burn this wax is coming from the smoke note, or if it is also coming from the fact that these wicks are not burning as hot, and therefore I'm experiencing that. Because one of the things with soy wax I find is that it does have to get very hot in order for it to project. And that's the other thing that I'm running into. I'm actually running into kind of an inverse problem than I normally have with a lot of candles. This in the 4-wick is actually, the strength is actually pretty good. Strength on this one is a solid 8, I would say. Obviously, it's a very spicy fragrance. Spice fragrances do tend to do well in my home. However, the projection of this candle, I would give it about a 7. So it's strong. It's very strong when I'm burning it in the open concept, but like I'll burn it in the living room. but the fragrance only wants to stay in the living room. It doesn't really want to project all the way into the kitchen, nor to the extent of the bedrooms. Whereas like the pecan marshmallow, for example, that's like a 9 for me. It's throwing all throughout. I can smell it in pretty much any room that I'm entering from the house. It's a very, very strong performer. But this one, I don't necessarily smell it when I'm walking out of my bedrooms, or like I said, even if I'm in the kitchen. But the minute I walk into the living room, if I'm burning it in the living room, I do smell it in there. So I wonder if that is, again, the byproduct of the wicks on this one. I can't really speak to how the 2 wicks are going to perform. But yeah, that's just something interesting that I've noticed. I haven't really experienced that with any of the Caramel Sundays 4 wicks. Again, it's performing fine for me. It's not a dud. It's just something that I've noticed that has been a little bit different. So overall, you guys, I would say that if you are somebody who likes a very spicy fragrance with a little bit of pumpkin in the background, I think that you're going to like this one. But this is a very different type of spiced pumpkin scent than, say, like I was talking about the Kringle Halloween, their pumpkin head, which unfortunately sold out within 20 minutes of the release. That is a very different spiced pumpkin accord. This is a very spice forward with a little bit of pumpkin in the background, and there is that element of smokiness that can come across a little bit charred in the background, that if you think that you would like that, then this is probably going to be a safe bet for you. But yeah, that's just my experience. Like I said, it's not going to be a repurchase for me. Can I see myself finishing burning it this season? Absolutely. It's a nice enough scent, but overall not going to be a repurchase for me. So if you're asking if this is like a 2 thumbs up candle, maybe. Maybe. I think for me, I would just prioritize purchasing another fragrance. I just see this one possibly being polarizing, but I will also say that I think that they mentioned that this is one of their most popular fall fragrances. It comes back. I think it's come back every year for the last 5 years. So I might just be in the minority. Maybe I was expecting something different, or maybe my fragrance preferences are a little bit different. But if you're just wanting a little bit more versatile, spicy gourmand fragrance, I'm going to go ahead and steer you in the direction of Coffin Cake. So let me know in the comment box down below if you purchased this candle. I think this one was also available in the 2 wick during the last restock. So if you happen to have purchased this in the 2, was this in the 2 wick last time? I feel like it was. Either format, if you guys have purchased this candle in the past, or if you currently have it, can you guys let me know what your burn experience has been with it? I know that that helps all of us out, especially as we are looking forward to the restock happening this Sunday. Like I said earlier in this video, if you have not shopped with Caramel Sundays before, you are going to want to go onto their website, see what their offerings are. Every single thing is going to show as sold out if you go on the website right now, and that is because their products are only available once a month. They pick a specific date and time to make their products available. And so for the month of August, that is going to be this Sunday, August 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to make sure that you're signed up for their text alerts, so that way you can get a 2-minute early access. But yeah, and make sure you go into that knowing exactly what you want. It is not time to play around and shop around. But I'll have more information about that with my Caramel Sundays wish list video that I should be having up for you guys a little bit later this week. So please hit thumbs up if you found this review helpful. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.